haven't done a deep dive into the claimed Eucharistic miracle of Tixtla, and I'm probably not going to, because there simply isn't enough information available. But I keep hearing that Ricardo Castanon Gomez's book, Cronica de un Milagro Eucharistico, has all of the information anyone could ever want to scientifically verify a Eucharistic miracle in the 19 scientific studies in its appendices. So I'd just like to show you how ridiculous that claim is. This is Annex 01, which contains a one-page letter from the bishop giving Dr. Castanon permission to study the sample on October 26, 2009, which is fine, but it's not a scientific study. Annex 02 is a two-page letter from the priest describing the events in which the bloody wafer was found. Again, useful information, but not a scientific study. Annex 03A is a single page from a report from Corporativo Medical Legal. It has observations in a numbered list, with only numbers 2 to 7 on this page. The first sentence translates to, "The control sample showed immediate loss of its structure as soon as it came into contact with histopathology reagents." That's not how anyone would begin a report, so obviously pages are missing. Next are 2 pages regarding a blood type test from GeneX. These are unnumbered. It's possible that this report is complete, although they don't describe the methodology used for the blood type test. Next come reports from a company called PAPMed. Here's page 1 of 3, page 2 of 3, and page 4 of 7. Yep, this is from a completely different report. It has a different sample number and a different date. Is this still from the Tixtla wafer? I have no way of telling. Next is another unnumbered page from Corporativo Medical Legal. It begins, "Thus it has been demonstrated," and refers to the previous image. So this isn't the first page either. It doesn't have bullet 1 at the end, so it's also not directly before the page we already have. Annex 06A is page 2 of 3 from PAPMed again, just in case you thought he was cutting pages out of these reports to reduce printing costs. It is identical to the copy in 4B, except for the highlighting. 6B is page 1 of 3 from PAPMed and is identical to Appendix 4A. 6C is page 2 of 7 from the other PAPMed report. Annex 07 is the same page from Corporativo Medical Legal as 3A, but this time the cropping is different, so we can see that the page number is page 11. It doesn't say how many pages are in the document. Annex 08 is an IQB DNA test. That appears to only be 1 page. Annex 09A is a blood detection study from a cotton swab dated August 8, 2007. Remember that Castanon didn't have the Tixtla sample until 2009, and there was no cotton swab mentioned anywhere. So this is obviously not even from Tixtla. Similarly, Annex 09B, 10, and 11 all predate Tixtla. Annex 012 is a page with no lab letterhead regarding patient Juan Host. I would say that was their most clever pseudonym for blinding, if the specimen site didn't say communion host fragments, so this clearly wasn't blinded at all. It is numbered page 1 and does not give a total number of pages. By cross-referencing the name with the list of experts in Chapter 8, I can tell that this is the report from West Coast Pathology Laboratories in California. Annex 013 is that same page 11 from Corporativo Medical Legal. Yes, this is the third copy. Annex 014A is page 3 of 4 of yet another document with yet another different sample number from PAPMed. Did they send them 3 samples from 1 wafer? Or are these just more irrelevant lab reports mixed in? Annex 014B is a third copy of page 2 of 3 of the first PAPMed document. Next is a report by Grupo Internacional para la Paz, which Dr. Castanon was president of. It refers to attached images, which I'm sure we'll find on the next page. No, the next page is Dr. Sassett's report on the Buenos Aires sample. I assume that's supposed to be Annex 16, but it's unlabeled. Annex 017 is some quotes from Dr. Zugabe on the Buenos Aires sample, and 18 and 19 are his reports on that sample. And that is it. Of the 32 total pages in the appendices, 12 are unrelated to Tixtla and 5 are duplicates. That leaves only 15 relevant, unique pages, only 12 of which are actually from lab reports. And these are random excerpts with no context, making them all essentially unreadable. Most of them have no methodology and no details. They're just summaries of the results, and it's unclear if they're even from Tixtla. Here is a summary of the 10 separate relevant documents in the appendices, in order by date. The columns are the minimum number of pages I assume each had based on the page numbering available. From this, you can see that we have at least 18 missing pages in these documents. That means that at least 60% of the lab reports that he put into the appendices are missing. And one of the experts cited in the book, Dr. Carlos Perellada of the Centro Médico de Guatemala, is missing altogether. Why is this concerning? Well, we know with Buenos Aires that Dr. Castanon's team went from scientist to scientist, and in some books and videos they only report the information that's convenient, leaving out the scientists that described observations incompatible with their preferred answer. So how many tests were done on the missing pages that tell a different story? This also leaves me with absolutely no way to test what results they would get on an ordinary rotten wafer, or a wafer with blood dripped on it, or any of the other controls that they should have run and didn't. Their most interesting conclusion, that the blood could not have come from the outside, is completely unsupported by all of these documents. I have a bunch of dry wafers with blood on them, and I would like to see how they differ from the Tixtla sample, but without their methodology, I don't even know what to do with them. And on top of all of these issues, remember that this is published by the same author that published a report on Buenos Aires, which appears to have been altered. So I don't have much reason to trust that these pages that we have are unaltered. And Dr. Castanon is the only published source I can find on Tixtla, so I have no other source of information to work with, which basically leaves me with nothing.